Okay, so we're going to be going over those last couple problems about simplifying expressions. So remember, before we start to sort like terms, we want to get rid of our parentheses. So if we take a look at this first problem, we are adding in between. So we can just rewrite the expression without the parentheses because we'll have 6x squared plus 3x plus 7 plus this entire expression. So plus 2x squared. I'm going to rewrite my subtraction as addition using the definition of subtraction. So minus 6x is plus negative 6x plus negative 4. And again, those parentheses, we don't need them, but I'm just writing them there so that we can just clearly see. So now I'm going to take a moment to sort my like terms. So I have 6x squared and 2x squared to get a total of 8x squared. I have 3x and negative 6x, which would get me negative 3x's. And then I have the constant term 7 and the constant term negative 4, which 7 take away 4 is positive 3. So there you go. Let's take a look at the next one. So this one's a little different because we have a subtraction sign. So that's kind of like having a negative 1 in front of this expression that's getting multiplied to every single term. So what we can look at here is we're going to just rewrite the first expression because you can think about a positive 1 being multiplied, just one group of it. So plus negative 4x plus 2, and then that negative 1 times x squared is going to get me negative x squared. Negative 1 times 8x is going to get me a negative 8x. And that negative 1 times negative 5 is going to get me a plus 5. Now I can go through and sort my like terms. So I have a 7x squared and a negative x squared, and that's going to get me 6x squared. Ooh, writing with white's kind of cool. We have a negative 4x and a negative 8x to get us a total of negative 12x. And we have that constant term of 2 and 5, so that gets us a positive 7. Notice when we write expressions, we have, if there's a variable with an exponent, that comes first, and the constant term, the number that has no variable, comes last. Okay, let's keep going. Taking a look at 3, notice we are adding in between, so it's just one group of each of them. You can think about a positive 1 getting multiplied by everything in here. So we'd have 30x squared plus 4x, and I just really like rewriting the subtraction as addition so that I don't lose any of my negative signs when I'm combining like terms. Negative 4x, 20x, and 7. And if we go through, we are going to sort our like terms. So we have 30x squared and negative 4x squared, which gets you 26x squares. We have a 4x and a 20x, which gets you 24x. And we have a negative 15 and a positive 7, which gets you negative 8. And there we have it. Notice when we're sorting like terms, we can use these arcs. Sometimes I call them boats, or single underline or double underline. When we do that and there's a negative sign included, we do want to make sure we put that sorting mark towards the negative as well, so we don't lose that. Okay, well, let's look at the next one. The next one, notice it is a negative, so you can think about it as a negative 1 getting multiplied to all the terms inside here. So when we do that, we'll end up with 2x cubed plus 4x squared plus negative 6 plus negative 1 times 5x cubed is negative 5x cubed. Negative 1 times positive 2x squared is negative 2x squared. And negative 1 times negative 2 is going to get me a positive 2. Now I can go through and sort my like terms. X cubed is only a like terms of x cubes. X cubes and x squares are not the same. So if I had 2x cubed and I took away 5x cubed, I'd have negative 3x cubed. I have a 4x squared and a negative 2x squared, which would get me positive 2x squares. I don't have any x terms, but I have a negative 6 and a positive 2, which would get me a negative 4. So negative 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 4. Excellent. So we're going to do 5 through 8 together, and then you'll finish the problems on your own and check the work. So let's take a look. So first thing, remember, before we go and start sorting our like terms, we have parentheses that we need to get rid of. We have a negative here and a positive here. So you might want to think about that negative getting multiplied through. So we're going to have 8c squared plus 3 plus 12c squared plus 5 plus negative 4c squared plus negative 7. So now we can go through and sort our like terms. We have an 8c squared, a 12c squared, and a negative 4c squared. So the 8 and the negative 4 I know gets me 4, and then 4 increased by 12 gets me to 16, so 16c squared. I don't have any c terms, so I'm going to go straight to the constant terms. I have a 3, a 5, and a negative 7. So 5 and 3 get me 8. Take away 7 gets you a positive 1. 16c squared plus 3. 16 here is called a coefficient. 1 here is called a constant or constant term. Wonderful. Let's take a look at the next one. So the next one I notice in between is a plus sign. So I am just going to take the time to rewrite this. X squared plus negative 5x plus 7x squared plus negative 9x. And just go ahead and sort my like terms. I have an x squared and a 7x squared, which gets me 8x squared, because remember the coefficient of x squared here is 1. If you ever want to draw it in, that's totally fine, so you don't lose that coefficient. I have a negative 5x and a negative 9x, which combined gets you negative 14x's. Perfect. And this is how you want to write this. You want the variable with the highest degree in front. If you had different variables, like if you had A, B, C, R, or S, or T, you put them in alphabetical order is the correct way to place them. So taking a look here, ooh, we got some fun brackets and parentheses. So taking a look what's happening inside these brackets is I have this negative 1 that's going to get multiplied to everything in here. And this is just plus. So what this is going to turn into is 11x squared plus 7x squared minus 8x. And this negative 1 times 9x squared gets you negative 9x squared. And that negative 1 times the 2x gets me negative 2x. So now I can go through and sort my like terms. So I have an 11x squared, I have a 7x squared, I have a negative 9x squared. So 11x squared and 7x squared gets me 18x squared. 18x squared take away 9x squared gets you positive 9x squared. And then I have a negative 8x and a negative 2x, which gets me a negative 10x. Ooh, that yellow's a little bright, huh? Okay, let's take a look at the next one. So the next one, We have adding in between them, so I'm just going to rewrite this. Negative 8x squared plus negative 15x plus 7x squared plus negative 11x. And again, I just really like rewriting the subtraction as adding its opposite because I don't want to make a silly mistake with my signs or lose a negative. So I have a negative 8x squared, and that's a like term with 7x squared, so I can combine them to get a negative x squared, or if you thought about it as a negative 1x squared. And then I have a negative 15x and a negative 11x, which is going to get you negative 26x. Perfect. Notice there's no constant terms in that expression. Okay, the remaining problems, I think it's 9 through 14. You're going to finish on your own and pause the video and we will go over them when you're done. Okay, hopefully you pause the video and you're ready to take a look. So when I take a look at 9, I notice I had 1/8 x squared. 1/8 x squared is a like term with 5/12 x. I had a common denominator of 24. I multiplied the 8 by 3, so I multiplied the numerator by 3. I multiplied 12 by 2 to get to 24, so I multiplied 5 by 2 to get to 10. When I combine those, I get 13/24 x. Moving on to number 10 over here. Taking a look, we have all like terms. They're all x terms. I decided to go ahead and add 5x with 3/8 x first. And I changed 5x to 40/8. Then when I added those, I got 43/8x, and I'm subtracting 1/12 of an x. The common denominator you'll see I have over here is 24. So when I do that, we multiply 8 by 3, 43 by 3, multiply 12 by 2, so I multiply my numerator also by 2, and we have 129 minus 2 gets 127/24, or 5, and I think that's 7/24. Taking a look at 11, we are just combining like terms. Notice I have a bigger negative than a positive, so we want to make sure our final answer is negative. On looking at 12, we have 8x, take away 34.67 x's, which gets you to negative 26.67x. Then when I add in 1.23 x's, I get negative 25.44x. And the last two problems, again, we have to be careful of this negative that's getting multiplied by negative 3.74 before we can start to sort our like terms. So we have negative 9.2x plus 3.74x plus 12.4x. Just working down from left to right, we simplify to 6.94x. On 14, we have all like terms. So when I added the first two, I got 8.79x, and then that's subtracting. I wrote this as 2.30. Sometimes when I'm subtracting decimals, especially when I have two decimals in one of the numbers, I'll just rewrite the other one so that it matches, so I can do the mental math quickly. So 6.49x. Excellent, great job going over these simplifying expressions. Looking forward to more really soon. Bye.